Part 1 of Chapter 2 of How to Analyze People on Sight. This is a LibreVoice recording. All LibreVoice recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibreVoice.org. How to Analyze People on Sight through the Science of Human Analysis. The 5 Human Types by Elsie Lincoln Benedict and Ralph Payne Benedict. Section 5 of Chapter 2. Chapter 2. The Thoracic Type. The Thriller. Individuals in whom the circulatory system, heart, arteries and blood vessels, and the respiratory system, lungs, nose, and chest, are more highly developed than any other systems, have been named the thoracics. This name comes from the fact that the heart and lungs, which constitute the most important organs of these two closely allied systems, are housed in the thorax, that little room made by your ribs for the protection of these vital organs. Physical resilience. A general elasticity of structure, a suggestion of sinews and physical resilience characterize this type. The florid-faced, high-chested individual. What is known as a red face, when accompanied by a high chest, always signifies large thoracic tendencies. The high color which in an adult comes and goes is a sure indication of a well-developed circulatory system, since high color is caused by the rapid pumping of blood to the tiny blood vessels of the face. People with little blood, weak hearts or deficient circulation are not florid and must be much overheated or excited to show vivid color in their cheeks, betray their feelings. On the other hand, the slightest displeasure, enjoyment, surprise or exertion brings the blood rushing to the face and neck of him who has a large, well-developed blood system. How many times you have heard such a one say, "I am so embarrassed, I flush at every little thing. How I envy the rest of you who come in from a long walk looking so cool." The man of great chest expansion. The largest part of this man's body is around the chest. See Chart 3. His chest is high for the reason that he has larger lungs than the average. Advantages of a high chest. The man of unusual chest expansion has one great physical asset. The person who breathes deeply has a decided advantage over the man who breathes deficiently. The lungs form the bellows or air supply for the body's engine, the heart, and with a deficient supply of air, the heart does deficient work. Efficient breathing is easy only to the man of large lungs, and only the high-chested have large lungs. Long-waisted people. A long waist is another thoracic sign, for it is a natural result of the extra houseroom required by the large lungs and heart. It is easily detected in both men and women. See Chart 3. If you are a close observer, you have noticed that some people appear to have a waistline much lower than others, that the belt line dividing the upper part of the body from the lower is proportionately much nearer to the floor in some than in others of the same height. Passing of the warp's waist. The strict up and down lines of today's woman and the flimsy shoulder-to-heel garments she wears have obliterated her waistline. But you will recall how differently the old warp's waist fashions of a score of years ago betrayed the secrets of the short and long waist. The 18-inch belt, of which we were so falsely proud in 1900, told unmistakable facts about milady's thoracic development. Belt versus suspenders. As the telltale belt disappeared from women's wardrobe, it appeared in men's, and now betrayed the location of his waist with an exactness of which the old-fashioned suspenders were never guilty. To test yourself. If you are a man and have difficulty in getting ready-made coats long enough for you, that is certain proof that you have decided thoracic tendencies. If you are a woman who has to forego many a pretty gown because it is not long enough in the waist. The same is true of you. In women, this long waist and high chest give the appearance of small hips and of shoulders a little broader than the average. In men, it gives that strict, soldier-like bearing which makes this type of man admired and gazed after as he strides down the street. The pure thoracic head. A high head is a significant characteristic of the typical thoracics. See Chart 4. The Anglo-Saxons tend to have this head and, more than any other races, exhibit thoracic qualities as racial characteristics. This is considered the handsomest head known. Certainly it lends the appearance of nobility and intelligence. It is not wide, looked at from the front or back, but inclines to be slightly narrower for its height than the Alimentive head. The kite-shaped face. A face widest through the cheekbones and tapering slightly up the sides of the forehead and downward to the jawbones is the face of the pure thoracic. See Chart 4. This must not be mistaken for the pointed chin nor the pointed head, but is merely a sloping of the face upward and downward from the cheekbones, as a result of the unusual width of the nose section. See Chart 4. His well-developed nose. The nose section is also high and wide because the typical thoracic has a nose that is well developed. This is shown not only by its length but by its high bridge. The cause for the width and length of this section is obvious. The nose constitutes the entrance and exit departments of the breathing system. Large lung capacity necessitates a large chamber for the intake and expulsion of air. Signs of good lungs. Whenever you see a man whose face is wide through the cheekbones, with a long high-bridged open nostril nose, you see a man of good lung capacity and of quick physical energy. When you see anyone with pinched nostril, a face that is narrow through the cheekbones with a low or sway-back nose, you see a man whose lung capacity is deficient. Such a person invariably expends his physical energy more slowly. Freckles, being due to the same causes as wet hair and high color, are further indication of thoracic tendencies, though you may belong to this type with or without them. The typical thoracic hand. The pointed hand is the hand of the pure thoracic. See Chart 4. Note the extreme length of the second finger and the pointed effect of this hand when all the fingers are laid together. Any person with a pointed hand such as this has good thoracic development, whether it occupies first place in his makeup or not. The fingers of the thoracic are also inclined to be more thin-skinned than those of other types. One may be predominantly thoracic without these elements, but they are indication of the extreme thoracic type. Naturally, the hand of the extreme thoracic is more pink than the average. The beautiful foot. The thoracic tends to have more narrow, high-arched feet than other types. As a result, this type makes the majority of the beautifully short. The man of energetic movements. A hair-trigger nimbleness goes with this type. He is always posed ready to strike. All thoracics use their hands, arms, wrists, limbs, and feet alertly and energetically. They open doors, handle implements, and all kinds of hand instruments with little blundering. Also their movements are more graceful than those of other types. The thoracic walk. The springy step must have been invented to describe the walk of the thoracic. No matter how hurried, his walk has more grace than the walk of other types. He does not stumble, and it is seldom that a thoracic steps on the chain of his partner's groin. The graceful sitter. The way you sit tells a great deal about your nature. One of the first secrets it betrays is whether you are by nature graceful or ungainly. The person who sits gracefully, who seems to drop himself becomingly